corrections I'm going to do under new business. Map gears, the color coding. And that will require a motion and a vote. And TMA sales. Cindy's going to provide an update on TMA sales. So we'll add those two items under new business. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add or edit? If there is none, if I can get a motion to accept the agenda as edited?
Lamoille will motion to accept the agenda as amended, edited.
Essex, second.
Essex did the second? Any last call for any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we're good on that. Secretary's report, we have two. So we have to go through. First one is from our August Board of Directors meeting, and then the second one is from September. So let's start with the August one first. Everybody should have received a copy of it. I need a motion to, well, let me ask, are there any questions or edits on this?
Rutland County, I make a motion to accept the August minutes.
Rutland, Mike,
Windsor
Second.
County will second it.
Windsor, Doug? Let's call for any corrections on the August minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, nay? All right, that's the August one. Then we also have the September one, which was a mini one. I put the wrong one down. This was the one after the board meeting where we huddled in the back there. So everybody should have also received a copy of that. That's pretty short, but there is a couple of motions that were on that. Are there any questions or edits to the September Board of Directors meeting? Okay, looking for a motion then.
I'll make a motion.
John? Essex
I'll
to
make a
accept.
motion. I'll make a motion that next time we do it in a quieter room.
A second?
I'll second both of those motions.
Just all right. Hopefully it won't rain. Whoever ordered the rain that day. All right. Any last minute corrections or edits to that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we're gonna turn it over to Stephen. Mr. Conti, you're up. Treasurer's report.
Hello, everyone. So apologies it wasn't sent out. I'm going to read off from it, and we will send out the report after. So this is our year-to-date through September 30th. It's the end of year. However, there are still adjustments to be made. Just wanted to let everybody know the fund balances haven't been moved for year-end activities, and those will happen once things are settled. Excuse me. Ending September 30th, we had $1.2 million in cash in the operating accounts. The total designated accounts, which are the reserve accounts, at $2.4 million. Of that, 1.3 was the trails account. 814 was the other board designated accounts, and 265,000 was our scholarship reserves. Moving on down to revenue. This didn't really change from the last report at the annual meeting. We had $3.7 million, which is $175,000 over our total budget of $3.8 million. And compared to last year, it finished about $254,000 higher. Is everybody hearing me okay? I haven't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Of course, just like I said last time, the main driver behind this was our membership revenue. It was $2.6 million. I think I already read that. No, I didn't. I was reading the other piece. Sorry. We were $2.6 million, which finished $284,000 over budget, which is attributed to our larger volume of memberships that were purchased after early birds. And it ended $269,000 higher than last year. Total expenses, there isn't a lot to go over here. We finished at $2.8 million, which was $629,000 under budget, which was the budget was $3.4 million. The largest expense we had the largest over budget expense we had was our trails general expenses, which was related to the grant expenses we usually have for the trails projects, and that was $624,000. under budget. But the revenue is offset in the upper portion of the revenue section. So it also varies about when invoices are paid out for that grant, because we're cash based. And sorry for being a little disheveled here. I actually just got home. I think that's just about it. Does anybody have any questions about the financials? Oh, I do have one more thing. Sorry, we finished the year $863,000 profit. We are going to be moving about $450,000 of that to the Trails Project Fund. Is that correct, Cindy?
Yeah, so what happens is we didn't end that in the profit. That's always money that we move into trails. So every year we move an encumbered amount.
Yeah.
And so that was done. We did some a week or so ago, and we ended up in the black around 160 something thousand after we moved what was regularly supposed to be moved into trails.
Yeah.
And then the board voted for it to be up to 200,000 would go into whatever was left over into club equipment. And then anything over that would go into the trail fund. And so that 160 something thousand is going into club equipment reserves.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions about that? If not, I'll need a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Windsor County make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Doug, second.
Lamoille will second.
You're on a roll, Mr. Dustin. Anybody last minute for any questions for Stephen? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Nay? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Mr. Halpin, unmute. Waterbury Bridge.
Hello.
Hello.
I have no new information, although I did talk to Mark and Nathan from the Waterbury Club, and Nathan's going to bring some new energy to this. He thinks he can get somewhere a little bit more with the engineer. Again, so I think our brick wall we're up against here, and I think we have to allocate as a board some money towards this, because I think we're up against, the engineers have just given us an awful lot of their time and freebies, and I can't seem to get a whole lot more action out of them. And I think we're at a point probably where as a board, we should talk about allocating some money, giving a small budget to, this committee with Matt, at the helm, and Nate and maybe myself still, and trying to get some sort of budget to be able to say, look, we need to get some solid answers on this. One way or the other, us as a board and VAST is going to have to put some money into this bridge, whether it's decommissioning it or whether it's improving it. As of right now, like we said before, it's a liability. So, we really as a board should decide on, I think we're going to need some money behind us to go get this solid answer. I don't think it'll be a lot of money, but I think we're going to need some sort of budget to work with to get the solid answers we need. Getting the prices, I think that we do have a couple companies that are kind of sitting there waiting for some pictures and some more information. But the information they're waiting for is kind of the information I'm waiting to get back from the engineers. So that's where we're at. And so I think as a board, we should talk about maybe forming some sort of budget heading forward on this. And Nate will
What's
be.
the budget for though, Jeff? What are you asking money for? And do you have a proposal of what the cost is?
I do not. I think on my next question, I just met with Nate today on the phone, and Mark and I have talked. And I think we're at a point where we need to go to the engineer and ask him what he thinks it would cost, maybe a quote on moving forward on an assessment. And then with that assessment, it would fuel which directions we head with this. And obviously one of the directions has to be getting some decommissioning prices. We've headed into this with no budget, no money. They've been great. They've met with us at least 2 or 3 times, this new engineer. And it's just, I feel like when I'm emailing him and getting some emails back that I have to pull him away from things and I'm not getting solid, and it's not, we're asking him to do his job. And I think we ought to have a budget to ask him to do that.
Well, if you can get a quote from him, we can put it on the agenda for the board to
Okay.
discuss and do a motion.
Yeah, I think
why don't you
that's-
get that?
Yeah,
And
I
then
think that's
we
the
can-
best way. I'm going to
yeah.
have Nate's going to reach out. I'll talk to Nate and we'll reach out and get some kind of a quote to form so we can get a solid assessment of exactly what we're looking at there with the correct sizes of all the cables and what's existing now, and then move forward from there.
Yeah, I think unless anybody disagrees with me, I think we'll see the quote and what the work is, and then we can have a conversation and vote on it. Does anybody disagree with that, or pretty much?
I think
You're
that's a
good?
great
Everybody's good?
idea, and I think we should, I mean, we've been dealing with this for a long time, and I think my own opinion, decommissioning looks like the good route to go.
We'll
just-
see what
I
the
just-
quote is, right?
Yeah,
So,
it
Yeah.
seems like putting this thing back together is just gonna be too much for what Vass can handle.
well, let's get the quote, and then we can have
All
a logical conversation amongst all of us here, and then move forward from there. Lucas is for Bennington County. I'm assuming he's here for Carroll. Okay, you got it. Okay. I just saw his smiling face. Smile there. There he goes. All right, Jeff. So if you can get that quote, and I'll keep it there under old business. So, and if you can let me know ahead of time for, whatever meeting, then we can make sure I can put that we'll be voting on some sort of quote, and maybe even set it ahead of time if you have it in advance.
We'll try to have something for the holiday meeting. I think that's a good, we'll reach
All
out.
All righty. Matt, any questions for Jeff, or you think that's probably the logical next step? Get the quote and have the discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we're moving forward. All righty. Next is map gears, enhancements and updates and things like that. I know we have under new business map gears color coding, so we can probably combine those two, I think, unless anybody has any issues with that. So, which I didn't do until I just said it. So first, if Mandy or Matt want to give an update on it before we get into the vote, I will tell you that it is in the package from the committee reports. What we're going to need to vote on here tonight. So let's hear from them first on anything that they may have.
Thanks, Patty. I'll jump
Oh, there.
in. The Map Gears app and enhancements. So we have a meeting set up with Dan Sutherland from Map Gears on the 29th. We're going to try to go over, it's sort of the same group of changes that we've been kicking around to everyone since last season. And we're going to push them pretty hard to make sure those are done. I haven't seen a lot of them emerge on the map. It still looks very similar to what it did last year. And there's like little things, like some of the labels on the trail numbers, like when you zoom in, they're kind of hard to read and they don't scale with the zoom. Just little things like that, like little things, minor things. So I'm going to go back through that list and we're going to go back over that with Dan. And supposedly they're working on them and they're, I get that answer. We're working on it and they're going to be done, but I want to start seeing some proof in the pudding, so to speak, fairly soon because the season's coming. So that's it up for the 29th. I'm confident they'll do it. They're very good, very responsive. I'm sure it'll get done. I just going to make sure and push them a little harder to see
So
it.
we have this interactive map. So does New Hampshire, Maine, New York, Mass, and Pennsylvania. And I think Canada's thinking about it or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah, we haven't jumped on with Canada so much yet, but yeah, Maine,
Yeah.
Vermont, New York, Mass, New Hampshire,
Pennsylvania.
and Pennsylvania. There's 6 of us.
So,
that are
I'm
on it.
assuming they would have those visual struggles as well. So the power in numbers there.
Yes, which kind of brings us sort of to what you were talking about combining. So we have been meeting as a group with Map Gears, and there's a little more power in numbers. And one of the things we've been striving for is consistency. So like if a Vermont rider goes to New Hampshire and Maine, things look the same. There has been a lot of confusion in different states as to like what's open and what's closed and what means what. So we've all come to sort of a consensus on what we think we can all do, some of these are provincial or not provincially, they're state driven, so it's a little harder versus us where we can sort of make the decision like right here. So we did discuss it at the Trails Committee. They approved it, but I felt it was necessary for them to make a motion that it go to the board as well for review. So what we'd be
Okay.
looking at is
It's
our,
this
yeah,
sheet
that right there.
in your packet. It's very colorful in your packet. Proposed New England visual unification. So you can go through it, but everybody has a copy of it in the board packet. Go ahead now, Matt.
Yes, so we'd have the quarter trails would go from what's green right now to a blue. Then it gets a little murky right here. This we need to figure out a little bit. But there's secondary trails, club trails, and unmaintained trails, which are sort of all the same almost in my mind. I'm thinking club trails would be the magenta, would be with dashes, would be like our purple quarter trails now that are groomed like 4 foot. I'm thinking that's what a club trail would be. And then secondary and unmaintained would be combined together in our mapping. And it would be, I would say probably the black dotted line, maybe. That would just be like unmaintained primitive secondary trails. So there'd be 3 categories for us. And then moving forward along the same lines, the trail status, it would be called trail status. And it would be green is available, yellow is limited availability, gray is not reported or unknown if there's a glitch or something, or if somebody doesn't update it after so many days, it goes to gray. And red would be closed. And that would be, like I said, this is consistent with all the other states that I mentioned, so that it would be the same for all riders coming from there to here, or our riders going from here to there. And there's no guesswork in it. Take some of that out. I do think this is going to be an ongoing conversation. One of the things we are going to need to look at is if we have, we're going to have to look at this winter because we obviously don't have our GPSs working real great right now. That's the next item, but they're not working great. So clubs are going to have to manually update their grooming. When they go out grooming, there's a way on the map they can light it up, which is what we had to go to, unfortunately, because the GPS units aren't working well enough to do it automatically, taking the automation out of it. So we are going to need to look at those colors, because if we have blue quarter trails and then our go-to color for showing grooming has been various stages of blue, we're going to need to look at that a little bit. And some of the other states are similar that have GPS tracking. A lot of them don't. So we're kind of unique in this sense, but we're going to need to play with that color a little bit. Like, do we highlight them yellow when the groomer's been out around the blue or what? But there'll be like a 2-tone type of color that's still up in the air at this point. I don't have a definitive answer on that, but that's something we're working on. And I'm sure we can come up with something that looks good and makes clear sense. That's consistent with what other states.
Okay, so Doug, give me 1 second. So we're gonna turn to Doug and open it up for questions, but you're gonna be just looking for approval from this board to move forward to unite us with New Hampshire, Maine, New York, Mass, Pennsylvania, through your conversations to an agreed color scheme. And you're looking for this board's approval that you can have that liberty, because you're not finalized on some of these things, it appears.
Yeah, I think for the most part we are. I think the only thing we're not finalized on is like I said, we may have to combine in our group the secondary trails and the unmaintained, which are sort of similar. Our secondary trails are unmaintained trails, so we would need to determine brown or black dotted line. That's that one.
Okay.
I don't see that as a big hang up here. We would need to determine that, and we would need to determine what color we want to use to show grooming, which is sort of a separate thing from any of this. But I think that would probably be a consistent thing that we would try to do across the board too, so that when you go to New Hampshire, I think everybody's going to have GPS units on board at some point. A lot of them don't right now, so this is sort of we're still playing with this one a lot. We're one of the few that did at one point have them all on board. Other states are experimenting like we are, so that is going to change, I think, over time, but we will find a color that works well with what we have here.
Doug?
Hey, Matt, we had a couple of our clubs in our last county meeting asking about the relation between like the VAST app. Is that going away, or is just the trail portion, grooming portion going away? And then also my question on this one that you just showed us, I have that colored sheet in front of me with the trail status. It says like the green is trails open for use, yellow's partially open, gray is unreported, and red is trail is closed. Is that where we're gonna? You were just talking something about the grooming part of it. Is that something that we're still going to be able to do? Do you think, or is that going to be different colors or something? Or you know
Yeah,
how
so
we used to update it?
the grooming is the piece that we need to determine. So the grooming is gonna play over top of like the quarter trail. If it's blue and it gets groomed, what colors are going to show? Because right now it's different hues of blue depending on the duration. If you look at our map, so we're going to need to do something a little different because a blue groomed indicator over a blue quarter trail isn't going to look great. So we're going to need to shade it a different color. And there's been some ideas like we do like a yellow over the blue, you know, that shows within it's been groomed within 3 days, or, you know, different things. We're going to need to come up with that. I don't have a definitive answer on that. It's going to be whatever looks good, I think. And
Alright.
I don't know. Did that answer your question, Doug? I think you had another one.
Yeah, I
before
did.
that.
Yeah. The only other question I had was about how does it all tie into the Vast app? Are we going to have the Vast app anymore, or for that part trail
Yes,
portion?
we are. And what's going to happen is clubs are going to be able to update that grooming piece manually. We had them do that last year when we realized all the issues we were having with the GPS units. We allowed it to be done manually. MapGears was able to override it so clubs can log in. Like they changed trail conditions, you can change the grooming of each trail as well manually. So when you know your groomer came back and they did your whole run, you can light all your trails up to whatever color we decide on, and it'll, you know, fade and get more opaque from there as the days go on and it's not groomed, let's say. But
Yeah,
that will
that's what I
that
was
will be available
wondering.
on the app as well. Yes, the app and
Yeah,
the
okay.
interactive
Yeah.
map. Yes.
So it'll be the same program. It won't be another thing. They got to record something else to find that out.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Right. One pulls the app should be pulling from the interactive map. Like,
Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Anybody else have, Jeff Halpin?
Just a quick question. I mean, I've been around while you've talked about this, Matt, and I agree with definitely the merger. I think it's a great move. My question would be is, you know, in I guess common sense, I've always thought of green, and I know it's not a winter color, but I've always thought of green as go, right? And red is stop, which means closed trails. Yellow works great for, you know, hazardous trails or early season trails. And then the blue for us has always worked good as a groomer status. As a group of all the states, I understand that right now they're using a different color for their open trails, their main corridors. Would it be too hard to ask them to come over to our colors? Because I just think they make awesome sense. The blue overlay for the grooming over top of, you know, is just, to me, it makes great sense. I agree with you that if it was blue for the corridors, you'd almost need like you went over it with a highlighter pen and a yellow or something. I just think that if it was green and then we stuck to our sequences, that it makes more sense. But I don't know where they sit on it. Are they totally against changing to another color, or are we just adapting to their colors?
I think one of the problems like we've had with the green quarter trails is it looks like it's open when it's not. And that's been, I think other states have had something similar and it's been a problem. It's very confusing to riders if the trail status isn't, well, even if it's shown over the trail colors like that green, they just think it's open. Like we've had that for years, like on our old app, and we'd have to actually have our interactive map pop up before you could go to the interactive map. If you remember that on the Alpine setup, we had to do that because of that. It was confusing having green quarter trails because everybody thought, oh, all the trails are open. It's like, no, that's just our trail map, and it's showing our trails as green corridor.
Because it's
So
colder.
that was the
Right.
shift to the other colors. And a few other states had similar things like that, like a greenish or something different. And we're like, oh, we need to change it to something completely different. So that's where that sort of shifted from, and why these colors were like, that's why we chose these, I think, was to get away from that a little bit.
Makes sense, I think,
Yeah.
Jeff. Don't you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And I just wonder why, like, you know, you think about when we call it as a group here, we always say, you know, our brown seasons, maybe our trails that are closed could be brown. You know what I mean? Maybe we make our corridors or all our trails brown, and then as we add color to them, they know they're opening. Because in the snowmobile world, brown is not good. It means you're motocrossing, right? So I just a suggestion. I really think the green and the red and the yellow is kind of a standard, but I understand we're dealing with other states, and we all have to adapt. It's whatever makes more sense. That's
Okay. Any other questions for Matt? Can we get a motion to give him the liberty to unify us with the other states when they meet on the color scheming?
Rutland
Washington County
make
will make a motion.
I-
Patty.
I got Rutland on that one.
Okay.
And Washington second is,
Yep.
Did I put an R in there? Washington.
did I do that? You know, I don't even know where I do it. And you guys, I think
I
Roger
know.
pointed it out
I'm
last
just-
time I did it somewhere. I
I'm
don't-
just busting your chops.
I'm not even aware I do it.
I just got
Okay,
used to it. I just got used to it.
Any other questions or comments before we vote? So that motion's to give Matt the liberty to represent us in that unification with the other states on the color coding. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nay? Okay, so we jumped around on that one, but that motion carried. Matt, just keep us informed what you guys end up doing, and I know we're gonna talk about it later in Mandy's, but I'm jumping around. Okay. So that's map gears. The pilot, Mandy or Matt, who's got that? Matt?
I
Okay.
told Mandy I'd jump on this one too.
Okay.
Just because she had a lot to do with the clothing and other stuff. So we were trying to divvy it up a little bit.
Okay.
So the pilot program, we are still trying to chase down a couple pieces of information from a few clubs on who the groomer operators are going to be and just finalize all that so we can get those out. It's going to have something to do with how they log in to testing out some of the units through GTS, which are the hardwired units. I think it's going to be so they can look on like a portal or something and see where the groomer is and see what's been happening with that unit. I assume we're also going to need the same thing for the Map Gears app. And I have not heard a lot from Trail Intel as of late. We kind of sent back a few questions and I haven't really heard a lot from them. So I don't know if we're actually testing that one or not. I was hoping we could, but I don't know. So at this point, I know we're doing GTS in the Map Gears app. Trail Intel, I'm not 100% sure of.
Yeah, Cindy, we talked about giving them a deadline to respond by, and if they don't respond by the deadline, then they get passed. We got to move forward. So,
Right.
did we send them that deadline yet, or is that in the
Yeah.
process this week?
No, we did. We did send them a deadline and we asked them to change what their requirements were. They wanted to charge some money and things like that to do the pilot. And so
Okay. And what clubs are we waiting on so these directors can for the pilot? Do you know what?
I think the only one I have not heard anything from is Woodford. I've heard from
Okay,
a couple of
so-
the others, and they're just still trying to chase down who their groomer operators are going to be and just finalize some of that. So they're aware and have corresponded, but I've not heard from Woodford on it. And I've actually asked a couple times, like on the phone and
Okay. Well, Lucas is on here.
email.
That's why he's representing Bennington tonight. So, Lucas, if you can take that as an action item to have Woodford respond to Matt with the information for the pilot, that'd be great. Because if we can't get the clubs to provide the information, we'll pick another club for a pilot. That's and that's okay too.
Right.
If it's
Yeah.
too much for a club to handle, but we want to make sure that we can move forward in unison.
And it'd be
You
nice
got
to get it figured out and get because these units from GTS are going to need to be wired into the machine. So we need
Yeah.
to get those to the clubs and have them
Okay.
be able to wire. It's easier before the weather gets real nasty and cold.
I
And
think
damp,
Lucas has a
you know.
question for you, Matt, and then I see you, Doug.
I was just asking Matt, who did you talk to, Larry?
Yes, Larry. Yep.
All right, I'll reach out to him too. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, and I know he's sort of taken over, and I think he's drinking from a fire hose right now. I think he's overwhelmed, honestly.
Yeah,
I saw
agreed.
him a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
So
he's a super nice guy, but yeah, I think he
He's
said he had about
overwhelmed, I get
50
it.
trees down on those trails. All right, Doug, you had a question?
Yeah, I just had a question, Matt. I was looking at earlier in your trailer ministry report about the 6 clubs that were chosen. Is there like rhyme or reason or something why those were chosen, or is it just I
Yeah.
was just curious how they figured out which 6 clubs to pick.
We tried to pick them like regionally, like sort of from north to south, east to west. And I tried to pick clubs that are fairly active, that are going to be, involved and give us
Input.
good feedback and good input. I have really active members that would give us good input. And there was one club in there I picked. We've had nothing but trouble with trying to get GPS units to work in their area. So that's why that one club got picked, because they have pretty much zero cellular service of any kind in their system, except for like one little spot for like a quarter mile. So I was like, I want to see what works there, because they're one of our problem children, so to speak. So that was, so there, all that kind of played into it, and more or less like spreading it out too. So it wasn't all, oh, it works good down in southern Vermont, but northern Vermont it doesn't. And we find that out later. We wanted to see, we did look at like some valley mountain clubs, like for Foot of the Mountain, for instance, or even Smugs. You've got the rail trail in the valley, but then you're climbing wicked steep stuff, climbing up out of there. So like, how does it work? Compare and contrast to valley to mountain. So there was some of that thought into it.
Sounds
So
like
I'm
you got a
watching a
great
monkey
variety.
on, I'm watching a monkey on Mark's back there. Sorry. I don't know what's going on in his picture.
The
Sorry,
cat is
it's very
getting
distracting.
overly affectionate.
So somebody, did I cut somebody off? I also, Matt and Mandy and Cindy met with me to go through the list too. And so, it was a collaborative effort at the end of the day at the clubs, and it does represent throughout the state of up and down, so north and south. So I think it's a good list. But if Lucas, if it's too much for Larry, then, let Matt know right away so he can pick another southern club to replace them if that's the case. All right,
You-
Mr. Halpin,
you
go
got it.
ahead.
Just a quick one. Matt, do we have to decide on one platform at the end of all this testing, or could that one platform, let's say you're testing 3 units and those units just show different, they work great in this area, this one didn't, are we able to have different units in different territories and all feedback to the same platform to perform the same function?
I could answer that. So, so basically what we want to do is we just want to evaluate the system this winter. You guys are not going to make a decision until the springtime on what we're going to do in the future. So our suggestion is just wait and see what comes back from the evaluation of what we're doing with the pilot. And then we'll come back to the board, and the board, will talk to you guys about what your options are. But right now it's just about the pilot.
Right. We would
Does that
we would be
help?
speculating, Jeff, and those type of things. So let's say, it could be one bus blows the others away, or we could end up in that situation, and that would open those
Yeah. I
conversations
mean,
if we need
it's
to.
a good question, but we're
Yeah.
not there yet. So once we
Right.
get the information back from the pilots, then we can go down that route
Okay.
later on.
Anybody else have any questions about the pilot format? All right, sounds like we're closing in, which is great news finally, right? All right, Mandy Clothing.
Okay. Sorry, I had turned my camera off. My internet's running a little sluggish today. So I just jotted up a few notes so it helped me kind of stay on track here. So since this summer, I have been researching potential merchandise vendors, and we have partnered with Climb for a holiday pre-buy program, and that's big kudos and thank you to Lee Whiting for his connections and introductions there. That was a big help. And with this holiday pre-buy, it will feature around 10 of the Climb items of a variety of different things, which will be customized with the VAST logo, and will be shipped directly to the customer at no additional charge. And where people can find these items will be right on the VAST website, right along our t-shirts and current merchandise that we do offer right now. We will continue to have those items going forward. And with this holiday pre-buy, it will begin on Monday, November 3rd, and it will go until Sunday, December 7th, in order for people to get their items before December 25th. And there's still a lot more information and details that we're trying to all get completed this week. So there will be more information coming out in this Friday's e-news. It'll also be on social media as well as our website. So just bear with me. There's a lot of more stuff to come. So I'll keep everybody posted.
Okay, and then I talked about this too, when I was in the office last week, and if this goes well, then maybe, we look at maybe doing it again next year, or maybe changing some items up and adding new items in, taking items out if they don't sell well. So it's a good in for us to do this with no additional cost for the VAST logo and the shipping. So you're just a normal Klein pricing and you get those added things. So think holiday gifts or prepare pre-season clothing, whatever you want to, right? So that's good news. So thank you. Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Mandy on that Klein clothing? Alrighty, I think that should be easy. All right. So I had on here annual meeting. Just wanted to thank Addison County. Are they on? Oh yeah, there she is. For hosting it once again.
I just got here. Sorry, I had to work late.
And everyone else who worked that day to make it a success. Just a reminder, if anybody took an award on behalf of somebody, to make sure you get those photos to Beth at editor@vtvas.org. It's on the agenda. I know their due date is coming up for the club news, so make sure that if you have anybody outstanding, that it's done by that due date. And I just wanted to, once again, since this is the first real official meeting since then, congratulate all the award recipients. And when you see them coming up to collect their awards, we, had a couple of folks actually with tears in their eyes, and it's very moving for some folks to be recognized. And so congratulations to everybody. Moving on to the December meeting, we have December 15th, the holiday gatherings. Cindy, I have here just to remind everybody to RSVP. I think the office sent something out. I don't know if you want to add something to that.
No, Tina sent it today, so please reply because we have to have a head count. And some
Any
people
questions?
did reply.
I saw a couple come back in, but anybody have questions on any or comments on either one of those items? Good. All right. New business then. Club updates. Just last year I put together a one-pager. It's on the forms page. On the left-hand side, fourth item down, club and county contact info updates. It gives you all the things that clubs should be updating, whether it's the VAST website, the form that you have to do every single year for VAST that doesn't go anywhere. And it gives a description. Only VAST sees this. This is open to the public, that kind of stuff. Talks about your Secretary of State and all that other thing. So it's good for the secretaries primarily and within your clubs to make sure that they're updating those types of things within your county clubs, and the treasurer as well for their obligations as far as filing. So it's just a quick checklist of the summary of those types of things that need to be updated every year. If you could please just make sure that the clubs in your areas are doing that, that would be great. Public service announcement, just on Wednesdays, I do those videos. It's again, only things posted to the VAST website, vtvas.org, the events page. So if that's for any trail work, any events that are coming up, fundraisers, whatever they want to do. I think we voted on that last year. Just, if it's there by 11 on Wednesday I do a shout out for the upcoming weekend. So just want to make sure everybody realizes that it's only from the VAST website that I'm pulling from, because if I go to search Facebook pages and I forget somebody, I know I'll hear about it. So this is the clean, everybody has access to the VAST website, all the clubs. All right, Cindy, update on the trade show booths.
Yeah, so we went to the trade show booths, or just the trade shows?
Trade shows.
We have a new booth. I did design a new booth this year, but we've done 3 trade shows so far and doing well. not a ton of traffic, but quality. We've got lots of names and things like that. And so we've got one more left, which is the Sam Show in November. So we've done Maine and New York and the Grass Drags. And yeah. And then we've just been looking at, there's one that's next week. Not that I'm thinking about doing this next week, but maybe in the future, there's one in Michigan. Right outside of Detroit, where it's a big one. And I was thinking that maybe New England would, if the states wanted to join in and do a Northeast chapter or a USA booth or something. I was looking at it's the Up North Sports, if you want to look it up. And it's a big event. And I thought that might be a good destination for us as a group from New England to go and see if we could get people from the Midwest, because the Midwest the last 3 years, they really have not had great snow. It's just been us or out west. And so anyway, just an idea, but shows are going, they're going well. We're getting rid of lots of travelers guidebooks, which is really good. And coming back with contacts. So that's good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The committees slate. Everybody received the package with the committees and the assignments for 2026. This is a yearly thing. Thank you for everybody who volunteered to either re-sign or signed up. We've got a couple of new folks that did as well. I was going to add to each one of these the discussion, items to do, what do they call it? Charges. That's the word I was looking for. But I'm going to send that separate. There are some standard charges for each committee, but stuff that came out of the meetings that we had this past season, I was copying and pasting and putting that stuff there, and it just looked really sloppy. And I know this gets posted onto the VAST website, so I wanted to keep it clean, and I'll send the chairs of the committees those lists for the for this upcoming year. So Cindy and I went through, and based on everybody's responses and some conversations that we had amongst ourselves, we also updated a lot of the little summaries underneath each one, so you can take a look at that. I think it's a nice cleaned up package. So I'm opening up if there's any questions on any of these committees or comments, and if not, I'll need a motion to accept the committee and assignments for fiscal year 2026 as presented. Don't all jump at it at once.
Windsor County make a motion to accept the new committee
Windsor, Doug,
reports as presented.
That's the committee and assignments for fiscal year 2026. I need a second on that.
Lamoille will second.
I was just wondering where the director of the year was.
He's been very busy. If you look at the other motions earlier tonight. Any questions? Just open it up one last time. Committee chairs should get in touch with their new committee members or their returning committee members, whichever. And I will be in touch with you as well in regards to the assignment stuff that we have from Mark's events and my event this past year. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Nay? All right, so that's good. Grooming sheets, the process for the upcoming season. I know Matt mentioned a little bit of that earlier on, but Cindy, you want to get into a little bit more detail on?
Yeah, Beth is working on developing that. We want to get it done so it can get sent out with the contracts. So it's really close to being done, and basically it's going to be a form that folks can fill out. They can still print out and handwrite the grooming log sheets for this winter, but we're also going to be providing a form. So Beth is currently building that, and it should be done within a few days. And so you guys will be sent links and all that, so you can go in and check it out.
Does anybody have any questions about that? And I'm hoping everybody has been really, sending that message to the clubs about having to do those manually this year, whether it's electronically or handwritten. It still will be a manual update. Doug?
And so we had our last county meeting there. I know Stan had mentioned that we had a couple clubs wondering about. And so is that going to be either or? You can either do it, take that automated sheet that she's sending out, and you can present it that way to VAST, or you can do the manual and handwritten one and mail it to them. Is that how it's gonna be? So there's a couple different ways of doing it?
Yes.
Okay, because they were just concerned if there was any help for any of the online portion of it, if they would, be something they could get a hold of, or
Yeah, if you got an old timer that doesn't know how to use a computer and wants to handwrite stuff, just write legibly, because it's really tough
Yeah.
when we get those pages in and we can't even read what's written. And but if they can, but yeah, there'll be both options. There'll be links to both. There'll be instructions that come out on how to do it. It's going to be a simple form. It's not going to be really tough to fill out the online form versus the paper handwritten. And we're only planning on doing this for this winter while we're doing the pilot for the GPS units.
all right, thank you.
Cindy, is this something that's going to need to be filled out after every grooming shift or once a week? What's the requirements? Because I'm actually a little nervous about the amount of work this is going to require for us specifically.
No, it's the same. You just fill it out for your weeks. So however you do it now for the grooming weeks, when you turn those in, you'll be turning in the same thing that you've always turned in before. So, however you track it, I'm imagining that you keep some sort of like clipboard or something in the groomer where people just like hand write stuff down. And you can do that and then transcribe it into the form, or you can just it's the same forms we've always used in the past. So that's not going to change. It's not going to be a daily or a weekly requirement that you send this to us.
Okay, doesn't really answer my question, but I kind of understand what you're saying, but like right now we're basically filling out an Excel spreadsheet, so I don't see a form being that arduous as many cells that need to be filled out on an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm just curious, like, is it going to be like starting mileage at the beginning of the week, end of the week, or is it going to be like beginning of the shift, end of the shift?
It's going to be the same questions that are currently on the same form, the form that you've always used. So there might even be an option to upload your Excel spreadsheet. Like how are you getting us your information now?
I email we handwrite the spreadsheets and then I email them to Matt. If I have enough time and ambitious enough, I'll actually type the numbers into the spreadsheet so it looks cleaner, but it's the same information. But we do 2 grooming shifts a night, basically 6 nights a week. So it's a lot of data input, and that's just I was just curious as to the amount of workload it's going to be for us and Brighton and the clubs that are running pretty steady every night.
It should be the same. You'll have an upload option. So whatever you were doing in the past, you can still do. We're just adding this form as an additional for people that don't want to handwrite the totals in. That's all.
Okay.
You'll still have the option. Yeah.
Just make sure it's legible, Roger. If it's handwritten, right?
Well, he does a lot of stuff electronically, which is good.
Yeah. Well, he said depending on how much time he has, right?
Yeah, but it really isn't a change. It's just we're adding this other option so people can have a form instead of handwriting. But you can also upload what you've done in the past too.
And I would assume that the frequency and stuff like that, when we send that stuff out, will all be outlined for people. So there's no question about expectations.
Exactly. It will be. Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on the grooming logs for Cindy? We'll be here before you know it. And hopefully it's a big problem, Roger, and you have a lot of data because we got a lot of snow.
Well, there's already snow on top of some of the mountains, so that's good.
It's a good problem to have. Okay.
Well, at least Mount Mansfield in Washington. I don't know about JP, but.
All right, role of a director and a director resource guide. So I actually put this role of director together a couple months ago, and then Cindy had this guide that she actually has in the director handbook. You have both copies that were a part of this package. And really, when I started with the role, because I know we got a few new directors on here, it's really the intent is for new directors and alternate directors, and it's also for future directors or alternate directors. So if you have a changing of the guard within your town, you could say, hey, well, here's a high level document of what the role is, of a director. So I went through it. I know we all vary, so I know this is not cut in stone, from county to county, size to size. And the way we communicate does differ, but, at a very high level, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna go pull out some main points. I had 4 areas about communication. Really, the club should be aware of the VAST policy, the VAST bylaws, and the trails policy. Those 3 main documents. It's important that your clubs are aware of where they are and are somewhat familiar of it, or at least know to go there to look for information if they need stuff. Your responsibility is sharing information timely, due dates and things like that with the county clubs. Regular county meetings. Now, regular means, and it's based on your bylaws, how you have it documented. It could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be 8 months of the year, it could be 12 months of the year. And whatever you guys do, just make sure that it's regular and that they're being followed, especially with the hybrid option. If you have that in your county, it just provides a little bit more flexibility. So whatever it is in your bylaws, just please make sure that those things are being followed. Even if you don't collect county dues, because sometimes I hear that, I don't collect county dues, what do I need a county meeting for? It's really critical to the overall communication and teamwork within the county clubs that county meetings are held. So, and then it also offers an exchange of information from club to club, whether that's shared resources. Hey, I got a trail closing, this season due to logging, and your neighboring club, has the ability to talk about. I know last month, or the month before, we had it in Windsor County where somebody was talking about a logging operation, and then 3 clubs that were neighboring that particular trail were all meeting afterwards talking about how they were going to handle the situation with that closure happening. So it does provide that, and it's really good. Good for the clubs to have that opportunity. Voting direction. So I know you guys all come here and you're voting on behalf of your county, and so it's really important that you educate your clubs. Well, the pros and cons of each of the votes. And ultimately, I know you represent your county at the final vote, but it's really your responsibility to explain pros and cons in a visionary format, on how to do that. And it's also important to record in minutes the collective county's decision on those things. So you have it as backup, and again, backup for future leaders within your counties. Bylaws and policy at the county level, just like we do at VAST, to make sure that the clubs are following that. We do with you guys, to make sure the counties are following the bylaws and policies. You should be, reviewing to make sure that your clubs within your counties are also adhering to those types of documents. Then it gets into some financial stewardship. I had 2 areas there. If you do collect county dues, make sure that more than one person has access to the bank statements. And I think we all know why. I think it's just really important.
That's
that
a
if
good
you do-
idea.
Thank you, Dustin. So not just the reports that are handed out at the meetings, but the actual banking statements, the online. Make sure there's more than one person if there's any type of funds collected within your county. And to let your clubs know that as well. And then an internal review of your books, if you are doing any type of funding, rotating on a club within the county to review the county books. Same thing within the club. A person within the club to review, not the treasurer, the club's books every year, just a review to make sure that there's invoices and payments match. These are suggestions, and we all know where a lot of that stuff comes from, right? Then it goes into leadership and teamwork. Really, it's that trickle down effect. You guys have a positive attitude. It trickles down within the clubs, and hopefully they pick up with that same enthusiasm. But it's really your leadership is the key to ensuring the direction is smooth and with that VAST. It's from clubs to you guys to VAST, and back and forth. That information should be going, and it's really you're the bridge to making sure that everything going on within our association is communicated within your county and your county clubs. It builds teamwork, consistency, and a sense shared of purpose for all of us involved. And then it gets into best practices. So that's the document I put together. Again, some of you that have been around a while, it's probably like, oh, no big deal. But at some point you may be passing that torch. So this is a good document to have. And then Cindy, I don't know if you want to go through the guide that you also put in the book that they get. She's got a different approach to not so much the role, even though it's mentioned in here, but more of the resources in here.
Yeah, no, I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. You guys have it. But thank you, Patty, and thank you for doing all that. It's really important to ensure that that leadership information for the board gets out from someone that's also a volunteer. My information was more about if I join the board, what do I need to know about finances or budgets? What's my responsibility in fiduciary level, or am I liable? Like, there's all questions that people in general would have about joining a board. So the combination of both is, yeah, it's perfect. So thanks.
And I think when we work in a silo is when we have missteps or problems, right? Whether it's at a club level or whatever, when we're all siloed is when some people think that other people aren't going to pay attention. And when we do, it's because things blew up, and we're going to hear about that a little bit later. All right. So that's in you also got that in your board packet. And again, I know we have a couple of newer directors on here. And for those that are existing, it's even good to share within your county what you do as a reference for them. Cindy, you've done some ambassador training, so you wanted to give a little highlight on that?
Sure, briefly. This past Saturday and the Saturday before, we had safety ambassador orientations. Stan was gracious enough to host our first one in Chester at his house. And we had 9 or 10 folks there, including myself, 9, I think. And then we did one last Saturday at the VAST office, and which we had a little bit more at. Only require really or ask people that have been ambassadors for less than 3 years to attend. But it was very, well received. We went through the manual and the expectations of our safety ambassadors. And we have a really great crew, and it's a nice time for these guys to also meet each other and be able to connect with folks that are also safety ambassadors in their same region so they can ride together. And so we just went through all the logistics of the law enforcement and contacts. And so this week I'll be following up with all of them and getting their contact information to law enforcement and vice versa. And then going through their log sheets. Last year, we had around 500 safety ambassador reports submitted. We have a link that they use to submit their reports when they go out and ride with their vest on, if they run across and help anyone. So it's a great program, and we have, I think we're at 46 right now, safety ambassadors statewide, and it's a great program. And yeah, it was a good. And then next year, Roger, just FYI, we're thinking about doing a CPR refresher for next summer. So we'll do it a little bit. We'll talk about times and stuff earlier so we can plan it. But yeah, it was good.
I went to Saturday training session. It was nice to see the different people from different areas and different walks of life. So it was very interesting for me as well. All right. Next one is DMV, Cindy. Wow, this was a hey, by the way.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about the registration. Yeah,
Yes.
we basically just got the notification at the same time that, and I'll be honest with you, that even the state garages that are getting ready with all their plow trucks didn't even know. We knew before them because somebody had got a hold of Patty and she got a hold of us, that they had seen it on Facebook, that DMV was messing around with their registration software and making changes, which was going to affect possibly people, especially with new registrations. So we've been hammering it out on social media, and Mandy's going to send it out again. We talked about it this afternoon, just keep sending it. And that renewals you can still do online, but new ones, like before, you have to do in person, but they're still going to be down for a few days. I'm not, my thing is, I think they're going to delay getting us everything. So what I've told the staff is we're going to operate like we did during COVID. So people can upload their registration, their email, if they get an email back for a date to register their sled, they can email that, and use that as a registration to upload to get their TMA. They still have to ride legal, but at least they can get their early bird in time. So we're still going to do what we did before. They still need to, like, if they're going to send in like their confirmation that they've got a date, let's say, before early birds get sold or whatever, and they can handwrite the VIN number and all that on that piece of paper. They can upload that instead of the registration. But again, they're still going to need the registration to be legal to ride, but at least they can buy their early bird TMA. So this was all last minute. We had nothing to do with it. It's just why they can't build this plane and not fly it at the same time. I don't know. Like, why can't you just build it and then flip a switch overnight like all other companies would do? But
Are there any
anyway,
questions on that DMV thing for Cindy? And all this came in the last week. You guys were really pulling information together and got that stuff posted to Facebook, and so much appreciated. And really within the last 5 business days is what. Anybody have any questions?
If you get questions or you have members, and you just give them my phone number, I'll talk to them. I'll talk them through it. We'll deal with getting them their TMAs and stuff at the office. But it's like during COVID. We're just having to, we're on the back foot at this point.
Any questions about that? Because you will get some questions on that one, I'm sure. We're good. All I heard was give Cindy's phone number.
Yeah, give them my phone number, but just let them know this says, like, we got a call today. Tina did, from somebody that's like, oh, I was at somebody's house and they heard that I wasn't going to be able to get my TMA and all this. No, it's not TMAs, it's the registration. So there's, it's like telephone. One person tells another, and then the story kind of changes. So just direct everybody to us, and we'll deal with it. But it's just, yeah.
They said they're gonna
Sooner.
be able to do renewals online, but after
Yeah.
32 years of working for IBM, when they start messing with software, hang on to your hat.
Right. Well, they said they'll be able to do renewals online, but then they have to have the people to be able to process them on the other end. And then so I'm just looking for, like, worst case scenario. Let's just go to there.
The
Like
worst
COVID.
case is they'll be down for a week or two.
Yeah. So let's just go there, and that's where we'll build from,
Right.
rather than setting expectations.
Be prepared.
Yeah.
All right, we did map gears. I'm going to skip Deerfield Valley because Cindy, do you want to do the TMA sales, and then we'll go to Deerfield Valley?
Oh, yeah, sure.
September.
So, all right, let me share my screen, share. And all right, so I'll send you these reports, but I just refreshed a little while ago. So this is where we're at. 888 as of half an hour ago versus last year, 883 on this day, and 2 years ago, 1065. So it's a real mixture. But these are the early bird in state, and these are the early bird out of state. So we're trending about the same as we have in the past, as we had last year. And like I said, I'll send you all these reports, but then you've got your club reports down here, and yeah. I'll go back down. So yeah, Woodford's at 102, only because I'm sure Scott's watching, so he probably wants to know. But everybody's doing pretty well, and yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Anybody have any questions about the report? It's good to see that we're trending like we were at least year over year.
Yeah,
pretty damn
and
close.
And we have been. I've been watching it now for a couple of weeks, and we have been a little below or a little over, but really trending where we were last year at this time.
Are we good? Okay. Can unshare. All right. So now Deerfield Valley. So I'm going to follow my sheet so I make sure I cover the things that we want to talk about here. So Deerfield Valley Stump Jumpers out of Windham County. There was they had a select board meeting, which was posted to, the minutes were posted to social media, as well as the YouTube recording of that. So their inquiries came into the vast office about it, and it really boiled down to a landowner had bridge work done on their property, and they were unaware of any of the work. So the executive committee, we met with the club. We gave the club the opportunity to review what had occurred. As VAST, we requested some action items from the club. Michael Garber has resigned from all club and county positions, so that right now Ivor is the director until they hold their county election. So, and Steve Topper is the new club vice president. They have reinstated their Secretary of State status. There was 10 landowners which work was done. Matt and Ivor had walked another area, not this particular landowners, but another area that work had been done, culverts and stuff. There was impacting 10 landowners. 6 of them have we've received landowner permission forms for. They're working on the last 4. They have working on a summary of the work for all the landowners that they have done this year, and they've asked that they can respond by November 3rd to us with that. We had given them till tonight to provide updates on everything that they asked for that particular item, to give them till November 3rd. They have provided photos of the bridge before and after work. It is not completed. The bridge is not completed. They don't want anybody on that property right now. There's no rails, no backfill. It hasn't had the grass or seating. This is one of the what do they call that? What kind of bridge is that called? With the
Oh, it's got
bridges.
the
Guardrail
guardrails on it,
bridges.
yeah.
I couldn't think of the word. They have taped it off in the meantime. The landowner had asked for a letter of meaningful acknowledgement from the club. That has been drafted by the club, but per our lawyer, everything has to go through Cindy and to our lawyer. Not direct. The club is not to communicate directly with the landowner at this time. The club also put together a pretty intensive policy within the club with a checklist for all future projects, so they don't have this misstep. The landowner has engaged a lawyer, and so that's why our lawyer is involved, and we are in communication with them as far as what the landowner would like. Since we are live streaming, if we have information to share with you on how that flushes out in December, we will go into executive session for that. But for all of you that are impacted by this in that area, and Cindy's going to point out in a second where this is, I would plan on the trail being closed this year. If for some reason things change, that'll just be a big bonus. But as of now, that trail has been requested to be closed. As we work through negotiations, it may change, it may not, but plan on it being closed. So Cindy, do you want
So,
to?
yeah,
pull
this
up
is
where
the
we are?
area right here where the landowner is located. So this would cut off the whole northern crossover from Woodford and Deerfield Valley, Jacksonville, Vernon, Guilford. The only thing that would be open would be the southern route. And so this is the land in here where the Somerset Reservoir Trail is, which was closed a couple of years ago because of logging in here. But anyway, this is a landowner that's on this land for a long time, and they're very upset. And so we're just doing our best to keep that relationship open and the communication open. So like Patty said, right now the landowner has requested that it be closed for a year, and we're going to do what we can to try to get it open, but if we can't, respect them. And this is going to really be a hardship for these clubs down here.
So this goes back to the role of the director that I covered earlier. And the irony is I didn't put that together after this situation, but it does fall into this situation about why, it's important to everybody working together, to understanding whether it's at the club level or the county level, what everybody's doing, and making sure that all T's are crossed and I's are dotted within you have that accountability when you're all working together like that. So I'm gonna go to Lucas first because he's one of the clubs that are in that area. So, and then Jeff, I'll go to you second.
Thanks, Patty. Yeah, this is a pretty bad closure for this area because most of the riders from Woodford go over to Dover for lunch. So it's going to leave them essentially with nowhere to go for lunch. And there's going to be a lot of people just running laps in Woodford. So this will impact a lot of riders. My question is, when is this going to be made public? I mean, it's already public knowledge, but when is VAST going to make an official statement on this? Because a lot of people still don't know about it.
We're negotiating between two lawyers right now, Lucas. So, and Cindy, you can add to that. I think right now we've had communication back and forth. We're waiting for that to be.
Yeah, I mean, at
solidified?
this point, the trail's closed. What we're trying to negotiate is a possible, can we open it if we come in and respectfully finish this bridge? And that's where
A
we're
few
at.
other
But
items, right?
yeah, but so at this point, there's really, I mean, we're hoping like any day we can say yes or no, but at this point, the landowner has said the trail is closed. So I wouldn't put anything out there yet because that could change, but we don't know. We're trying to respect, they're very hurt by what happened, and we understand that. So yeah.
Yeah. So Lucas, I would say plan on it being closed. And then if we can, through negotiations, change that, that's a win. But for the clubs that are impacted, the plan is that it will be closed at this year per the landowner. But nobody's riding next weekend. So I would give the process some time between these two lawyers to see if we can work something out.
Got it. So it wouldn't be till December.
Well,
Right.
if we find out anything sooner that people, parties agree on, then we'll let you all know. But right now, yeah, we won't, it's very fluid right now.
Yeah, once we know, we'll certainly let everyone know.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Jeff?
I understand there's probably things we shouldn't go into tonight. I just want to make it known, to like Lucas, we're just as board of directors finding out about this tonight. I know there has been some rumors floating around and there's been some talk, but this is really the first meeting where it's been brought to us. My question, I guess, is I think we can go is, was this a construction project for VAST for 2025 for our construction projects? Or was this just club projects that they were funding?
No, this was a construction project.
Vast.
Okay, and so how do we move forward without it sounds to me, and again, without all these landowner permission slips in with us, how are we moving forward on these projects?
I would ask, I'm going to say, Cindy, I would
Go ahead.
ask that when you're working with Matt and you're putting in for projects, and that you make sure that the status of those projects are adhered to. So if something's pending because Matt is waiting for information XYZ, you don't move ahead with that project until Matt gets the XYZ and moves it towards approved. When something's in a pending status because Matt hasn't approved it, then we shouldn't be working on it.
Oh, I agree. And I always thought that we were, I think we're at a point now where we have to make some rules because this is
That is the rule.
understood, but they're going out and doing these projects and we're sending out, in late July, August, we're sending out a list of projects that they just start happening. And I think that maybe we ought to hold into consideration, if we don't have landowner permissions, lots, that we don't release the project or we don't fund the project.
Well, we don't.
We
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, Jeff. No, we don't. We wait. We don't fund anything until everything is in.
Right.
I guess we got to have some shut off to the club to let them know this project can't happen. And one of the things I brought up, when this previously happened down in the southern part of the state for another project a year ago or a year and a half ago, it was that I kind of brought up that I think as far as the trail coordinators go, that we should be overseeing all the projects. And I don't mean just someone's taking a shovel and cleaning up a gutter. I'm talking about anything that's a bridge, a culvert, a trail, relocation. I feel like the trail coordinator should be brought in on every single project, whether the club's got the money or whether they're coming to us for a construction grant. And I've always felt like there needs to be more oversight over this.
And that is part of the process if you're following the process. And I'm going to leave it like that. Because if you want to talk in executive session in December, I'd be more than happy to do that. But we are in negotiations, and I just wanted to share with you at a high level what we did and what the club has done and the situation right now while we are in negotiations. Don't want to get into the meat and potatoes why that is happening.
Okay.
I want to give the lawyers a chance to work this out if they can. Mr. Stewart? Knowing what I just said, Mr. Stewart, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna lower my hand after what you just said. But there definitely is a protocol that one must follow.
Exactly. And I think this club is very aware of that now, and they are putting in the placeholders to prevent this from happening again.
Yep. But just to be frank, I mean, this all starts with a state water permit. And when you do the permit, you have to have a permission slip from the landowner to do the project. So somewhere, somehow, something went south. So I'm going to lower my hand. I'll let you guys figure it out.
Yeah.
But there is a protocol. I don't know how this happened, quite frankly.
Yeah. And like I said, right now, we wanted to just bring you up to speed. So folks were aware that we do have 2 lawyers negotiating at this point, or talking, whatever, however. We wanted to give you enough information that you were aware of what was going on. Clubs in that area should plan on a closure. If something comes differently, that's great. And we are working with the club to make sure there's guidelines in place so this doesn't happen again. And they, under their new leadership, have been very responsive to working with us. So this is, I'm going to leave it like that. And like I said, if we want to go in executive session in December, somebody wants to call that, we'd be more than happy to share more details. But for tonight's meeting, we just wanted to bring you up to speed. All right. So welcome, Ivor, for now. Windham County is going to be holding, hopefully, officer elections or that conversation in November timeframe. Right now, it's just Amber and Ivor holding down Windham County. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate everybody understanding, but we really wanted to bring you as best we could up to speed on things on this live stream call tonight. All right. So everybody should have received all the reports, the committee reports. Thank you. I think it's working well to provide a summary. It's in the packet of every committee and what they're doing. If folks want to go back to doing readouts, just let me know. We can vote on that. But I think this is the best way, is to have in your packet all the committee report summary. If any committee has anything they want to talk about specifically, moving forward, we can always add it to an agenda item. So just please keep that in mind. 1 second, Doug. And then there's the other committee reports which come from the staff, and then I'll address you, Doug. So on Matt's report, he did talk about, just so I'm not reading it, the trail status stuff that we went through tonight. His meeting, just reminder under the grant and aid programs, please remind your clubs that they need to submit receipts for completed projects by December 15th. Or notify the trails administrator in writing if the projects are canceled or are being requested to carry over. That's also on the due date reminder side, but it's in Matt's report specifically. I just read it out loud, what he has in there. The grooming contracts, he's looking at the 1st or 2nd week of November, those going out. So that just let your clubs know that. And under other, if your club needs refreshers on how to update their trail conditions, because Matt talked about that having to be manually done since we don't have GPS, please have them reach out to Matt and or Mandy. They will be sending out training videos as well with the grooming contracts on how to do that. If you have any clubs that are not familiar with how to do those updates, they will be sending out some training video. So that's in Matt's report. In Mandy's report, she talked about the equipment, but on the backside, just as a big club reminder on the password and stuff for ordering your signage, please read that. She gives you very detailed steps. She gets a lot of calls from clubs on this. It's in here. If you could share that with your county clubs, that would probably eliminate a few calls into the VAST office, because that information, she painstakingly put it together for all of you, so you could share that. And then Cindy's report's in here, but you know, Cindy was on half the items on the agenda, so you know exactly what she's been focusing on, but her report's also in there. Doug, you're up.
Thanks, Patty. Hey, the first question I got has to do probably either Mark or Cindy. We had a couple clubs approach us the last county meeting, or approach me about, we used to in the past when we had insurance, we had like a dollar amount, like say it was $1 million liability for the groomers on the trails, on the vast trails. Is it still like that? Do we have an amount that's covered?
Yeah, so it's not for the groomers. Each groomer machine has their own insurance policy. Ours covers the groomer, the landowner, or the volunteers, or the groomer as far as the work that, you know, if they do damage or something like that to a trail system. So it's $1 million with a $2 million aggregate is our policy. And then each club has, like you do on your car, you know, have collision and all that kind of stuff. Each club has their own. We don't provide that.
Yes, that's what I was. So it's liability insurance, basically. Only, right?
Yeah. Yep. The liability is a $1 million policy with a $2 million aggregate umbrella. Right, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. And, the other question I got is, have the packets for the 4 clubs that are being reviewed this year been sent out yet? Does anybody know? Because one of our clubs was asking, because we were chosen as one of them. So
I'm pretty sure I did, but I'll double check, Doug.
Okay.
He's talking about the audit / review, the club reviews that we pulled a couple months ago.
Yeah,
yes.
I'll have to check back with my emails with Bonnie.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then on the back side is all the deadlines. Highlighted the upcoming ones, the 11/3 for your club news for your county clubs. If you have the water crossing, Matt sent out a pretty detailed email on those clubs that are impacted by providing the information required for water crossing areas. Roger, I know you had a bunch of them on there. And then just the signed grooming contracts are due back with a copy of your W-9 by 12/1. So they should be going out again, like I said, first or second week in November. They're due back by 12/1, signed with a copy of a W-9. Those are the vast grooming contracts. So just make sure that folks are aware of those dates. And then right underneath that was the 12/15 date about the projects that I read out of Matt's report. Roger?
Yeah, I haven't seen an email. Is this the annual email that gets sent out to all the clubs that are affected by or near water? Well, near bodies of water that freeze over during the winter?
Yes.
We don't have water crossings.
Matt, can you resend that to Roger? Because yeah, I know I saw the drift notes listed
Unless
on there
it went,
a few times.
I mean, it's possible it went to Brandon and not the club email, so I'll check with him. But I'll look into that. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was actually well written. Okay.
Okay.
And there's some dates associated with that too, Roger, where'd he go? As you know, there is, as you well know.
Forwarded it to you, Roger. Just so you have it.
He gave you a thumbs up. All right. Any other business that I didn't cover? It was a pretty full agenda, so thank you for your patience and understanding.
Did anything ever come of our clubs down in the southeast part of the state? We had the clubs that were going to be put into not good standing.
There's only one.
That was
that didn't come out, and I am going to Rutland County's board county meeting on Wednesday this week. There was one club with I think 8 or 9 miles, so we'll have an update on that next month for you. So I'm going to be in Rutland County on Wednesday.
Is it the southwest side? I'll get it right, man.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was southern, so
that's close enough. We know what you were talking about, Mike.
Of course, he's from Texas, so everything's south.
Dan, did you have a question?
Yeah, the W-9 If they're already on file, we don't need to send new ones, do we?
That's a simple question.
Yeah, no, we do like to have the W-9. So even if you have it, please send it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, the way that the state operates, Sheila really does like it for our auditors. Our auditors really like to have the W-9. So if you just have it, just please send it.
Anything else that we didn't cover? Burning desire to talk about? No? Well, I appreciate everybody. Next meeting is on the 24th of November. So you have all the meeting dates on the agenda for this season. Hearing nothing else, I'll look for a motion to adjourn at 7:25.
Lamoille makes that motion to adjourn.
Yes, I'll second.
Essex second, and that's it. There's no vote. All right, everybody, have a nice week, and we'll see you next month. All right.
Bye. Thanks for all you do.